The reason that the statues were torn down and all reminders of history are torn down is so that there isn't a reminder of what happened, so that they can perpetrate it themselves and not realize that
they can
rewrite history. Basically, see, they don't, and I'm telling you, they don't teach students about the Holocaust as much anymore. They don't teach students about what happened in World War II because it's so far away that they don't it's out of touch now, and they don't realize that the things that have the sacrifices that this country, I mean, they're trying to make the sacrifices of these early people as meaning nothing because they had bad motives, or so they say behind it, that they can't prove. Again, it's a theory for a reason,
right? And it's all based upon a narrative that they can't prove. I mean, no, they're taking our history, 1776, and they're changing it to 1619 and saying we were a nation founded by slavery for a place for people to come to have slaves, and not as a country that we escaped the totalitarian crown that was not allowing us to worship. They came for religious freedom, and that was what America, the whole idea, the experiment was based on, was giving man freedom, and that our rights were given to us by God and nothing else. And they want to come in and completely destroy that. There's a lot that I see happening, these Marxist type movements, these color revolutions, and the Hegelian dialectal, where they take these subgroups of people and they're turning them against each other. They're turning white versus black, and they're letting them clash. It's kind of like a social Darwinism, and through the negation of systems, whoever wins in this conflict is going to be the stronger one and make a stronger society right out of the Marxist playbook. And they have absolutely no life experiences, and they've never created anything, and they've never even cleaned their room, to quote Jordan Peterson, but they want to go out there and change the world, and they know they can't do it unless they have a complete upper hand where they can censor any differing points of view. They can censor any time they get called out for being biased or being unfactual. And you can manipulate somebody by giving them false information. You can also manipulate somebody from preventing them from getting the right information. And I see the way that they do these things is they kind of put it out there to where these kids and these people, from the information they get, they kind of come to the conclusions that they want them to on their own. So when you come to a conclusion on your own without being told, you're much more apt to fight for that conclusion, versus whereas in China, you are told this is what the right way to think is. So people will naturally kind of push back against that.
Exactly. And the argument that I would have against what they're doing is religion tried that, right? They tried to mandate religion. How did that go, right? Mm-hmm. The people that you're forcing religion upon, if it's not from the heart, it doesn't take hold. There's parables about it. They do the same thing. You can't tell somebody that you're going to be a certain way, or you have to act a certain way, or you have to check yourself because you're a certain color, because you are demeaning that person's spirit. What are we telling? And unfortunately, it's the system. There is systematic racism going on, but again, the people always yelling out the systematic racism. They're projecting. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones lowering the standards for everyone rather than raising people up. They lower the standards and say, okay, well, you can't make it over this bar. We're going to just bring it down for you. And then you tell these other students, well, yeah, you're going to be okay because you can make it over that bar, so we're not going to worry about you anymore. It does nobody any good to lower the standards.
It just makes everybody equally dumb. Yeah, it makes everybody equally bad.
If the standards got any lower, they would put maternity flight suits and fighter jets
for our military. Yeah,
but that's
they have.
That's making me. That's the thing that makes me very upset. Is it's almost like they're intentionally dumbing down the country so that they can control them, and people just don't. I try to tell the kids constantly, wake up.
Yeah,
this is your shot. What you have is be able to pull out of your brain is all you have that's truly yours. So if you don't put anything in there that's useful, you've got a lot of useless stuff in your brain that you need to put useful things in, because that's all that they can't take away from you in your brain. No one can ever take that away from you.
Are you
have to fill it.
Do you teach critical thinking? To teach kids to question things, to question authority, to question if you feel that something is wrong, it goes against what you feel. Do you teach them how to question that and to find and seek out the truth and the information that they can form their opinions on?
I am very brutally honest with my kids. That's just the relationship. If teaching is, anybody can present material to a student. Teaching is convincing those students that what I have to tell you is worthwhile listening from me. And so it's you have to build relationship. If you're a good teacher, you're building relationships the first couple months with your kids. You're not even, you know this from being a teacher. You have to know these kids before you can help them.
Right.
That's what I do. I like to figure out these kids, and then I can direct them in ways that I can help them and give them the advice that they need, and I can see where they're going.
Right. Yeah, I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of that when I was
in. You can tell even with that stuff.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that when I was in China. When I would go into a class, I'm 6'4" and I'm a white American, so I'd walk into a class and I'd have kids start crying right away because they'd be scared because they, they all look the same and they don't have anybody that's different whatsoever. And the Chinese, believe it or not, are some of the absolute most racist society you've ever seen. It's not their fault. It's that's just the way that they have been taught. Mm-hmm. And I have, I taught anywhere from 3 years old all the way up until high school kids. I even taught adults there too. One thing I noticed in China was all of the brainwashing starts extremely early. They control the way the kids think. They control what they learn, the history, and it's all propagated through the eyes of the Communist Party of China. And it seems to me that China has co-opted a massive amount of our institutions and our culture in this country, from sports, Hollywood, the Confucius institutions. Now, China may not be behind this whole push for everything, but they certainly are funding it, and they certainly are propagating the narrative that of racism for their own benefit because of the pandemic, because it came out of China. And if you notice, you can't call it the Wuhan virus, but any variant of the Wuhan virus, you can call it the UK variant, the South Korean variant, the South African variant. So they propagate racism by calling out, by saying, you can't call it the Wuhan flu because that's racist, but then they will, to divert attention from themselves, point out the variants are from their country. So I see that type of model, not the exact same thing, but I see that model, like a cookie cutter model, being used in this country. And the Confucius, I don't know if there's any in Oregon or any universities that you know of, but the Confucius Institutes are the ways that the Chinese Communist Party was propagating what we'll call the China model for social engineering, social thought, different things like this. Now, when I lived in China, I could always tell my students, especially my older ones, I could show an incident that happened in China. I say, well, that would never happen in America because of this, this, and this. And I could point out 10 different things. Now, I don't see a difference. I can't say, yeah, well, in America, we have freedom and we have this. We don't do that. It's
he came back to America and goes, what happened?
The country has completely changed, and it has changed in the way of a Chinese society. And it's kind of like we're taking humanity out of people. They're not seeing people as people. They're seeing them as a color on both sides. So by fighting this anti-racism, they could also be causing more racism, which could be what they want to further propagate their narrative that they're important and they're the ones that can stop it.
Dumb as a bucket of shrimp.